just to make sure that everybody is present here, and then we will start off with our next webinar. Good afternoon. Welcome to the fourth webinar of this year. And I can assure we will have a very interesting one because we're gonna travel all over the country. Can I ask everybody who is not presenting to turn off their cameras? That's because we are recording this and it will be available to watch again or to watch later on. And of course, everybody would have to mute his microphone just to make sure that we listen only to the one presenting. There is a possibility to have questions, but the questions should be asked in the chat box and will be answered at the end of the webinar. Today we have a very interesting group of guides who live all over the US and who are very keen on showing us and our clients the lovely cities in the States, and they are grouped under one name, Via Americana. And my good friend Leentje is the one who will introduce everybody and make sure that everything goes well during this presentation. Leentje, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Peter. I think you can see the presentation.
Yes,
right?
we see.
Okay. Okay. So yes, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for attending our webinar. So as Peter said, we are Via Americana, and we are, oh, I'm sorry, this is, okay, there we go. Founded in 2016 by Jacqueline Hostes, Hélène Toya, Nathalie Bevenagy, and myself, and a lot has changed throughout the years. So at the moment we have 10 tour guides that host tours in French, English, and Dutch in the cities that you can see on the map. So we're gonna go from east to west, and not everybody is present here, but we will represent everyone. And I think we can dive right in with Jacqueline Hostes. I think most of you know Jacqueline. So she is on a tour right now because she is in full summer season. So she has like tours, I think, every day or almost every day. So, but she was kind enough to give us like an update from her city. This weekend, the New York Times published that the leisure travel in New York City will be back at pre-pandemic levels by 2024. 20 new hotels opened last year. Another 20 will open this year. On the other hand, 150 out of the 700 pre-pandemic hotels had to close permanently, but things are looking up. So by 2024, 10,000 new rooms are expected to be added in New York City. People, and that's something probably you as travel agents will experience as well, last minute bookings with the whole still COVID going on test situation, but I think Peter will address all of that at the end of the webinar. And then new popular attractions, the Summit, the Edge, and Little Island, the little pet project of Barry Diller, the husband of Diane van Furstenberg. And then apparently for clients that have the budget, sightseeing tours by speedboat are the newest trends. So if you need more information about a private tour, walking or biking, you can contact Jacqueline by email. Her email address is there, but I think there will be a follow-up message where, yeah, everything, all the contact details will be included as well. So from New York, we're going straight to Philadelphia, not too far, and Daisy is here with us today. So Daisy, please go ahead.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Leentje, for the introduction. I'm Daisy van den Hoof-Mertens. I was born in Dendermonde, Oost-Vlaanderen, the city of Trosbejaard, as you've all been able to witness probably during the past weekend. We moved in 1997, I moved with my family to Oxford, England. At the time, I was an investment banker and insurance broker. I sold my business and followed my husband, as they say, who was working for Janssen Pharmaceuticals, Johnson & Johnson. So we spent 4 years in Oxford. I have 2 sons, but I also took the opportunity to study American history. And 4 years later, we arrived in Philadelphia, where my husband got a job again with Johnson & Johnson and Merck, the joint venture at the time. We've been living here for 21 years. We became American citizens in 2016, so I've been able to vote in 2 elections already. I participated as a canvasser in 2008 for the presidential campaign of then President Obama. And my occupation for the moment is I'm a representative for the Flemish community in Pennsylvania. I'm the treasurer for the Chamber Orchestra of Philadelphia. I'm a member of the Consular Corps, the oldest one in the city here in Philadelphia. And last but not least, I joined Via Americana 5 years ago, and so I'm a tour guide here in Philadelphia. Philadelphia is a city it's the 6th largest city in the US. It's the 2nd largest city on the East Coast, and it's a little bit squashed in between New York City and Washington that steal our thunder, if you want. Although to be able to understand the history of the USA as it is today, I think it's important that you learn about the history of where it all began. And it all began here, of course, in Independence Hall in Philadelphia, which makes our city a World Heritage City, the first one in the USA. There's now a second one in San Antonio, but we were the first World Heritage City in the USA because of Independence Hall. The Republic originated here, and Philadelphia was the capital of the nation for about 10 years. Philadelphia is a city of firsts. We have the first library here, the first hospital, the first bank, the first opera, and those are all the sites that I present to the tourists that visit Philadelphia. I take them on a custom-made 4-hour tour or 6-hour tour. I really did. I tried to discover the interests of the customers and then I take them all around the city. I have a car available, so I can take groups of 4 people easily around the city. We do a lot of walking as well, of course, but it is sometimes easier to have a car available, for instance, to take them over the river, the Delaware, and show them the skyline of Philadelphia. I also organize tours, again, for 4 people in my car to go to Amish country, which is about an hour west of Philadelphia. During that tour, we drive, we visit an Amish farm, we drive along the scenic routes of Amish country. We visit Lancaster with its oldest covered farmers market. And we also visit Franklin and Marshall College, which is the oldest bilingual college here in the USA. It was English and German, and it was founded in 1787 by Benjamin Franklin and John Marshall, one of the Supreme Court judges. Yeah, I hope I gathered your interest, and you can see on the screen if you want more information. Please visit my website, www.findingphiladelphia.com, or shoot me an email. Thank you.
Thank you, Daisy. And I can, attest that the tours with Daisy are so interesting and a lot of fun as well. So, and just like all the other Via Americana tour guides, all the tours are available Dutch, French, and English, just FYI. And then off to DC. Laurence, the floor is yours.
Laurence, you're muted.
Laurence, yep.
No.
There we go. So let me repeat again. Hello, everybody. My name is Laurence Genon. I grew up in Braine-l'Alleud, and it's been about more than 20 years that I live here in DC, Washington, DC. The reason why I came here is because my husband is American. I could say that I'm a true, product of tourism, as I met my husband actually in a very short flight from Tampa to Atlanta. Obviously, it was love at first sight. And 20 years later, I'm still here and very happy. I have 2 children. And when I was in Belgium, I was a nurse, moved here, stay home, raise my children. Of course, DC is very well known for the Smithsonian Institution, which one of the amazing things about those great museums is that they are all free of access. And so little by little, I just brought my children in those museums, and it turns into a real passion. And that's why a couple of years ago, I turned into a professional guide. Until the pandemic came, just put a pause, but now I'm back full swing. As mentioned, as you can see on the photos on the slide, as well as the main tour that I offer is the highlights of DC. Because even though we watch and we see Washington, D.C. and the White House almost every day in the news, D.C. is much more than just the White House, but it's also interesting to discover where the White House is compared to the Capitol and the Supreme Court. So that's is included in my highlights tour. This is a great tour to introduce first visitors to D.C. As in one tour, I called it 3 tours for 1, because you just have a better understanding how the government works, but also how the city developed. And as well as it's a great introduction to American history with all the memorials that we have along the mall. Other tours that I offer and that are very fun to do are Georgetown, so Capitol Hill, the Show, and Embassy Row. Those are neighborhood tours, but each of them have their own specialties, and everything can be customized, depends of what the guest is interested into. So you can go through architecture, to history, or to a specific president or period of time, like World War II, the Cold War with Georgetown, and of course, I can do a special tour about the Kennedys, because John Kennedy lived not only in the White House, but had many houses in Georgetown. what else can I tell you? My tours are mainly by walking tour, but I can also offer biking tours. And concerning regarding the groups, it can be like small families, couple, up to like a bigger group. So to conclude my presentation, I would say that Washington, D.C., and especially now since COVID, is really like a city of southern efficiency with a northern charms. So that's about it. Thank you.
Thank you, Laurence. And I also want to mention, because some people are interested in photography tours, that you are a photographer as well.
That's right.
That's something that may be interesting for the clients as well.
Yes, all the photos that you see on the on the slides are mine. And again, we can customize to just do a photography tour, or we can just like make sure that I just show you the best spots to take photos.
Okay, so thank you again. So now we're going to leave the East Coast and enter the Midwest. And okay, Sura is not here, but yeah, the video started already. Okay, here we go. This is just a short introduction to Detroit. And Sura offers customized tours there, either by car, walking, I don't think bike tours. So definitely a hidden gem. So yes, those were a few of the highlights of Detroit. I've done several tours with Tura already, since for me it's it's just a short drive to Detroit, only 5 hours to American standards. That's very close. So, and I highly recommend that, Detroit, because, you know, it's French people visit it a lot. So there is, everybody knows that it's the cars, Motor City, and of course, music as well. But there's a lot more. There's a lot of architecture, and there's a lot going on there. It's really a city that is on the comeback. So contact Tura if you want to know more, adoseofdetroit.com. And of course, you can just go to the Via Americana website, where you can find all of our contact details for every destination. And then from Detroit, it's over to my beautiful city, Chicago. So I, just like Daisy, I was born in Dendermonde. So, but I came to Chicago in 2014. Started working as a correspondent for Het Laatste Nieuws and De Morgen. I don't do that job anymore, but I started out as a tour guide in 2015 already. I had an entire Chicago winter to dive into the history and all the fun facts about this city. And I used to do public tours, but since COVID, it's only private tours. So starts at $200 for 2 hours, and anything is possible if people want to discover a neighborhood or the highlights, architecture, public art, food tours. No more bike tours, as there is a lot going on with insurance and liability. as you all know, especially here in the United States. So besides the tours, I am also the editor-in-chief of Concierge Preferred magazine, Chicago's only hospitality magazine, so which only combines my passion for the city and communication again. So it's basically a magazine that you find in every hotel. So if your clients go to check in at their hotel, they can ask for the magazine. So that's a plus. It has maps and it has a lot of fun things to do. Yeah, I think that's about it for me. And then you were probably expecting Kathleen in Milwaukee, but as her 3 kids are now in college or off to college in Europe, Kathleen is also moving back to Europe after the summer. So Milwaukee, we are looking for a new tour guide. I will be at IPW next week talking to the tourism office there. So hopefully we will find someone. It won't probably be a Belgian, but you never know. But we're looking into new tour guides for Milwaukee and maybe for other destinations as well. Who knows? So it's straight to Denver, and I don't know if Vera was able to join us. I can see it on my screen here. So, Vera?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody. Well, morning, afternoon, I guess. It's still early here. Welcome to Denver. I realize we may not be a destination. However, you know, as Lane just said, I think Detroit, we're a hidden gem. There's actually a lot to do both in summer and winter. Shoulder season is actually probably the best time to come over here, so it's not that hot. Maybe it'll snow, maybe not. But I actually got back from a vacation in southern Colorado in Trinidad, which is about a 3-hour drive. And so there's a lot to do in town. It's actually very cultural. This is the base of cowboys and Indians. So that's kind of the history. We have walking tours and biking tours. I still do biking tours, you know, despite the liability, but it just gives a little more access to a wider circle into the city. I prefer to do personalized tours. I like to know what people's interests are, and then kind of show them the American version of that. That's about Denver in a nutshell. Come and visit us. It's wonderful here.
Yes. Yeah, I did a tour with Vera as well, and yeah. And do you still do the scooter tours as well, Vera?
If people want to do scooters, yeah, we do have the scooters. Those prices are not included in the tour prices because the scooter prices kind of depend on the time of day or locations where you are. So, but I'm happy to do that as well.
Yeah. And do you sometimes, yeah, so you venture outside of the city as well? So, yeah.
Yeah, driving tours to Boulder, to Central City. We do have some small casinos out there in Central City and Black Hawk. That kind of gives an idea of old mining towns when the silver and gold rush was going on here. So, yeah.
Thank you, Vera. Now it's over to Utah, where Isabel is waiting.
Hello, everybody. I'm in Utah. I'm in just north of Salt Lake City. I'm originally from Ghent. I've been living here for 7 years now, but this is my second time living here. My husband is in the military, and we were stationed here from 2001 to 2005. So I've had a little bit of time to explore not only northern Utah, but of course the national parks in southern Utah, which everybody loves. So Salt Lake City is the perfect spot to start your tour of the West, in my opinion, because you can drive north to Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks, which is only a 5-hour drive, and then or head south to the Mighty Five, and then Vegas and the Grand Canyon and all that. So the tours that I offer are mainly walking tours of historic downtown Salt Lake City. I covered Temple Square, the Utah State Capitol, and the surrounding area. I do not do bike tours because, in my opinion, the city doesn't really lend itself to bike tours. But I do offer self-drive packages where people can, I give them all the information that they need to visit state parks in northern Utah. A wonderful one is Antelope Island State Park, where you can basically drive onto the island in the Great Salt Lake and roam around with the buffaloes and antelope. And of course, there's more than just the national parks in southern Utah. We have wonderful state parks. And now with the introduction of timed entry, especially in Arches National Park, it's a good idea that to have the information available to you. You know, when you cannot enter the national parks, there's always other options available that are just as beautiful as the national parks. Then yeah, that's about it. I'm looking into offering guided driving tours of Salt Lake City. It is a vast area, so it's hard to see the entire area by foot. It's almost impossible. So I'm looking into that, but for now I'm only offering walking tours. And yeah, that's about it. I hope if you have any questions, feel free to contact me. All my information is available on the slide. Thank you.
Thank you, Isabel. And I just got back actually from Utah. Well, I was there in April for spring break, and it's such a beautiful and such a diverse state. And I know that there are some big Utah fans in the audience as well. Not looking at you, Elke, but anyway. So, and I did a tour with Isabel in Salt Lake City, and another hidden gem, I must say. It's definitely worth, instead of just flying to Salt Lake and start your road trip, just spend the night there and do a tour and see the highlights. It's a very interesting and fascinating destination. And then, Sophie, are you ready?
Yes, hello, good afternoon. My name is Sophie Boeteligier. I moved to the San Francisco Bay Area, to Palo Alto in 2015. And I remember when I left that a very good friend of my parents warned my parents like she might never come back because it's one of the most interesting and most beautiful places on earth. And I have to say, after having been here for 7 years, I couldn't agree more. What we often see with people visiting the Western USA is they arrive in San Francisco, they spend the day in San Francisco, and then off they go to the national parks, the Mighty Five in Utah. And of course, those are wonderful. And I understand when you have only a limited amount of time, you want to see those national parks. But I also would like to say to people visiting California, there is so much more to see here. There are so many hidden gems. And that's also one of the reasons I joined Via Americana, to take your customers off the beaten path and also show them some hidden gems that normally only local people visit. I have gathered some pictures. Layden, if you could go to the next slides. So one of the areas near San Francisco is world famous Silicon Valley, home to the tech companies. You see here the campus of Google, but also home to the beautiful campus of Stanford. So I take customers on a guided tour in Palo Alto and in Stanford. I tell them about the history, the history of Silicon Valley. But also they can do hikes here in wonderful nature. It's very known for tech, but it's also a very beautiful region with picturesque towns. If you like fancy food, if you like to hike, Silicon Valley is a very interesting trip as a day trip, or if you are on your way to one of the national parks, it's a perfect stop. The next slide, Lit. Then also world famous, but for something else, is the wine region, Napa and Sonoma. If you have customers who like wine, there's the wine tasting, there's the dining, but there's also some magnificent parks such as Muir Woods. So also here, there's something for everyone. Then we also go to the next slide, Lynn. Dit is Paso Robles. It's lesser known than Napa and Sonoma. But here you really feel the Californian vibe. It's very down to earth. It's very relaxed. If you like to picnic, wineries are very welcoming. You just bring your own picnic. You buy a couple of wines. You walk around in wonderful sceneries. You take a look at the beautiful vineyards. So this is also a perfect stop, for example, if you are on your way from San Francisco to the national parks or on your way to the south, instead of taking the ugly 5, this is one of the other ways to explore the region. And then the final slide. And then last but not least, the Pacific coast. It's one of the most beautiful coastlines that I ever saw. Also here, there are some hidden gems where you can have the typical Californian food with lots of avocados, with a very beautiful view on the ocean. Yes, fine dining, hiking, there's so much to do in all of these places. So I would, yes, I offer guided tours in some of these places, or I develop a customized travel package depending on what your customers like, whether it's hiking, fine dining, picnicking, if they like to cycle. I can create something for them. So yes, I'm looking forward to having a conversation and see how we can create an unforgettable holiday for your customers.
Thanks very much, Sophie. And then last but not least, we're going to Maxime in LA. Maxime is the newest and the first guy to join the team. So welcome again, Maxime, and the spotlight is on you.
Thank you, thank you. So my name is Maxime Brulijn. I'm originally from Menen in West Vlaanderen. I have a background as a tour guide. I was a tour guide in Miami for about 2 years. I was a tour guide in LA, and more specifically, walking tours, actually. I was a tour rep for Go America, which was a German company. And the walking tours they offered were to make people feel safe in downtown, because downtown had a bad reputation back then. It's like 20 years ago. So I would show them around, show them the highlights, and show them, you know, downtown is not that bad. That has completely changed now, because downtown is now a very, very popular destination. New stores, new museums, you name it. My tours are more walking tours right now. I took over from Natalie, who was here before, and her tours were mainly walking tours, I believe, Leentje. I don't know if she did any car tours, but I don't think she did.
Sometimes upon request, but it's mostly walking tours in mainly downtown, actually.
Yeah, and that's what I'm doing too. I have the one that I get the most questions for from people in Belgium is the combo tour. So it starts in downtown. It shows you the oldest section of the town. It shows you the architecture, the museums, and then it ends at the Wilshire Grand, which is the tallest building in California. It's actually the tallest building on the west side of the US. And that gives people a great image and great idea of how big and vast Los Angeles is. And you can see everything on a clear day. Because that's one of the little problems I'm getting right now, is that people think that they can come here and, oh, we'll just stay in the center of the city. There's no center. That's LA. It's so vast. Everything is far away from each other, from one another. So that's why I like having personalized tours. So I ask people what they really want to see, and then we can concentrate on that specific part of the city. So the combo tour is downtown and Hollywood. And between it, we take a metro tour, a metro ride, which is included in the price. I've had questions about bike tours, but just like my colleagues, it's very difficult. LA is not a bike tour, a bike city at all. I just came back from Belgium, and it was so difficult for me to drive there because I forgot what bicycles are. Like I turn right and I said, oh shit, I forgot if there's a bike coming in. And LA, there's no bikes anywhere. There's some bike paths, but those are in sections of the city that mainly are the coast. And then next to a busway. So busways are streets where only buses drive, and you can have a bike path there, but there's nothing to see. So I might have to figure that a little bit out, but it would be more expensive because the rental of the bike and then the insurances that come with it. I have also a background of, I'm a filmmaker. So one thing I want to offer during the tours is a video of what people have seen, and it becomes a personalized video. So they'll have the highlights of what they've seen, a little bit of information that I've given them, and then they'll be in the video themselves. And that would be an option that they can get at the end. And that's it. I have a passion for storytelling because I'm a filmmaker. So there's many stories around LA, and I think my passion comes over when I'm giving the tours. So feel free to email me. I think on the last slide, there's my contact info, and come to California and LA and San Francisco.
Thank you, Maxime, and thank you, everyone. That concludes our presentation. I don't know if there's any questions. I don't see any in the chat box. So yeah, I would say just go to our website via-americana.com, and you will find all the destinations and all the details on how to contact us. You can email us from there. So yeah, thank you very much, and I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed it.
Thank you, Lientje. It was very interesting indeed. Thank you to you and all the colleagues from Via Americana. And I'm convinced that this is a very big asset towards our clients to be able to get those extras with guides for them. I haven't seen any questions either. So let me maybe conclude with telling you what is necessary for the traveling to the US, so you can make sure that your clients have all the necessary papers. So of course, a passport, international passport, is still necessary. And as of last week, the ESTA, which still is obliged, is $21 instead of $14. So it's a little bit more expensive. As today, you still need a COVID test. The COVID test can be a PCR, but also antigen, which you can get at the local pharmacy, easier than going to the hospital, and also less expensive and a quicker result. This test needs to be done the day before departure, so not 24 hours, just the day before. And then I've just heard that there might be a short questionnaire that needs to be filled in at the check-in. But some of us are traveling to Orlando this week, so we will check what this questionnaire is about and let you know in one of the newsletters, which will follow the next coming weeks, to make sure that you have the correct information about that. Nothing extra is to be done to travel to the US, and nothing needs to be done anymore to travel back to Belgium, because the formula, the PLF that needed to be filled in, is not necessary anymore if you It is only necessary for some countries on a certain list, but apparently on that list there's no countries anymore. So the PLF is not necessary anymore. And then let me thank you all for attending here, and let us conclude by making our next appointment. It's the last Tuesday of the month, so that in June, that will be the 28th of June, the last Tuesday at 4 o'clock. We will have a presentation made by Arizona, so the Grand Canyon state, but I can assure you that there's a lot more than Grand Canyon than a Grand Canyon in Arizona. So if you're curious about that, let's join us next week, next month, I'm sorry. So thank you everybody for attending, and hope to see you next month, and have a good day. Bye.
Thank you for having us. Bye-bye.
Thank you all. Bye bye.